The grand exhibition hall floated above a shining alien city, a place where the most powerful empires of the galaxy came to boast of their strength. Every race had prepared for years to bring their best inventions. The ceiling glowed with stars projected from advanced systems, and the floor reflected the silver shine of alien metals. Crowds filled the place, dressed in fine robes, polished armor, or glowing uniforms. They moved from booth to booth, staring with wide eyes at ships the size of buildings, weapons that hummed with deadly light, and robots that seemed almost alive. Each empire wanted to prove it was the strongest, the most advanced, the most feared. The air buzzed with pride, arrogance, and hidden rivalries. To the aliens, this event was more than a show. It was a way to measure who ruled the stars. At the far end of the hall, a small section remained quiet. Few visitors bothered to look in that direction. It was the human booth, the display sent from Earth. The banner above it was plain and almost dull, written in basic galactic script. Earth Defense Division. Many aliens smirked just at the sight of the sign. Earth was new to the stars, a small planet that had only recently joined the galactic community. They had no long history of empires, no ancient star fleets, no shining cities that could float across space. In fact, many aliens believed humans were barely out of their caves. Their technology was late, messy, and weak compared to the others. Why even bother showing up? Finally, when the humans opened their booth, the laughter began. Instead of silver ships with glowing shields, there stood a row of old tanks, their green paint scratched and faded, their armor marked with holes patched in rough metal. Next to them sat airplanes, not sleek starfighters but heavy, bulky machines with propellers that looked like they belonged in a museum. There were ground drones too, built from spare parts, their wires showing, their wheels squeaking with every move. Some of the machines were so damaged that even the humans seemed embarrassed to place them on display. The aliens burst into laughter. A group of tall, scaled warriors slapped their tails on the ground as they laughed, mocking. "Do they think we came here to see junkyards?" one shouted. A group of crystalline beings chimed together, their voices like bells. "How primitive! Look at those scars. They cannot even build proper machines." Across the hall, whispers spread like fire. "Earth is weak," some said. "Their machines belong in trash heaps, not war zones." A few even took pictures to show their people back home, certain that humans would become a running joke for years. But not everyone laughed. In the shadows of the exhibition, a few alien commanders watched more closely. They did not join the laughter. Their eyes, sharp and calculating, studied every scratch, every dent, every patch of human steel. The machines looked weak, yes. They looked ugly compared to the smooth perfection of alien ships. But they were still working. A tank with 100 bullet scars still rolled forward. An airplane with patched wings still held its weight. A drone with missing parts still managed to scan the area. Something about that unsettled them. Machines were not supposed to last that long. A perfect ship, once damaged, was useless. A weapon, once broken, was thrown away. But these human machines kept living, kept fighting. One commander, an old reptilian general with scarred scales, leaned toward his aide and whispered, "Why do they keep these relics? Why not build new ones?" His aide shrugged, but his eyes also narrowed with worry. Across the hall, another leader from a machine empire frowned. He had built armies of flawless robots, polished to shine, designed to last for decades. Yet here he saw human machines that looked like they had survived centuries of war. Ugly, dented, but still alive. He muttered to himself, "There is a secret here." They laugh now, but perhaps they should not. The humans themselves said little. They stood proudly next to their machines, not ashamed, not laughing back. Their faces were calm, their eyes sharp. One of them, a young pilot, placed his hand on the side of a rusty jet as if it were an old friend. Another soldier polished the barrel of a tank, not caring about the jeers. They treated their machines not like objects, but like partners. The aliens noticed this too, though they did not understand it. Why would anyone respect broken machines? Why show pride in scars? The exhibition continued with great noise and celebration, but a strange shadow lingered over the hall. The laughter of the crowds grew hollow as the commanders kept watching. They could not shake the feeling that something was wrong. Humans had chosen these machines for a reason. They could have hidden them. They could have tried to copy alien technology. But no, they brought their broken tanks, their patched planes, their ugly drones, and they stood by them without fear. Later, when the lights dimmed and the crowds left, the whispers began. Some said Earth was foolish. Others said Earth was brave. A few admitted they felt uneasy. Those dents and scars were not signs of weakness. They were signs of survival. Every mark told a story. Every patch proved a fight had been won. To aliens, perfection was strength. To humans, survival was stronger. And so, while most of the galaxy laughed, the wise ones stayed quiet. They knew that sometimes the ugliest tools hid the sharpest edge. They watched the humans carefully, wondering what these broken machines had already done and what they might do again. The galactic exhibition was not only for show. At the end of every gathering, there was always a test of strength, a war game. It was tradition, a contest between the great powers, where fleets and armies would battle in a vast training field. The fighting was not real, but the lessons were. Victories were remembered, losses became shame, and reputations rose or fell. Every empire prepared for it every year. It was the moment that truly mattered. This year, the rules were simple. A large region of empty space had been chosen, filled with asteroids and broken moons. Each empire would send a sample of its machines. No real deaths would occur, but weapons would fire at full strength. When one side's machines were destroyed or disabled, they were out. The war game would end when only one force remained standing. The crowds loved it. It was entertainment, a chance to see the galaxy's strongest weapons clash like titans. When the humans announced they would join, the laughter returned. "Will they send their trash piles into battle?" an alien asked, shaking with amusement. "Perhaps their tanks will fall apart before they even fire a shot." Another replied, "Let them join. Their defeat will make this year unforgettable." Across the galaxy, audiences tuned in. Billions of eyes watched, waiting to see Earth humiliated. The day of the war game arrived. Vast fleets entered the arena, shining ships and towering mechs from every corner of the galaxy. Cameras captured every detail. Then, from the far side, the human machines appeared. The crowd roared with laughter again. There they were, rusty tanks strapped to landing platforms, patched airplanes with engines that coughed smoke, drones with missing panels. Compared to the silver giants of other empires, Earth looked like a child among giants. The signal to begin was given. At once, alien ships surged forward, engines glowing, weapons charged, bright beams cutting through space. The humans stayed still, their machines waiting in silence. For a moment, it seemed Earth was frozen with fear. The audience jeered. "Cowards! They will be crushed in seconds." Then the first move came. A single human tank rolled forward, slow, heavy, almost clumsy. An alien warship locked on, preparing to fire. But just before it could shoot, the tank stopped, its engines sputtered and died. The aliens laughed harder than ever. "Their machines are breaking already," one shouted. But then the tank fired. Its shell blasted forward, striking not at the warship, but at a nearby asteroid. The rock cracked, broke apart, and a massive piece of stone slammed into the alien ship, tearing it in half. Silence fell. The ship had been destroyed by a single clever shot. The human tank, still coughing smoke, rumbled back into position. The laughter turned uneasy. More machines moved. A human jet flew forward, wobbling in the air as if it could barely hold itself up. Alien fighters rushed to intercept, their sleek designs cutting through the void. They locked on. The human jet dipped, spun, and suddenly plunged into the shadow of a large asteroid. The aliens followed, eager to finish it. But inside the asteroid field, the jet darted left and right, weaving between rocks. The alien fighters, too fast, too smooth, smashed into the stone walls one by one. The human jet emerged again, scarred but alive. The audience gasped. Everywhere, the humans began to fight with strange tactics. Their machines looked weak, broken, ready to collapse at any moment. But that weakness was a disguise. They moved like hunters pretending to limp, waiting for prey to come close. Tanks pretended to break down, only to fire at the last second. Drones circled slowly, then swarmed like insects when the enemy dropped its guard. A patched aircraft let itself be hit, smoke trailing. Yet instead of falling, it dived straight into an enemy carrier, disabling it completely. The laughter of the crowds died away. Now there was only silence, broken by sharp breaths of disbelief. Commentators struggled to explain. These machines they are fighting with intelligence. They are using the battlefield itself as a weapon. Another voice whispered, "They are built for pain. They know how to break, and how to keep fighting anyway." Alien commanders who once sneered now leaned forward with tight jaws. They had expected humans to fail quickly. Instead, they were watching something they could not understand. Human machines were not perfect, not smooth, not even reliable in appearance. But they were dangerous. They fought dirty. They turned weakness into strength. They were like predators in broken skin. Hours passed, and one by one, empires fell. Shining fleets were reduced to wrecks. Perfect mechs lay broken. But still the human machines rolled, limped, and flew forward. At last, when the smoke cleared, only one force remained in the arena. Earth. The announcement echoed across the galaxy. Victory. Earth Defense Division. The crowd sat in stunned silence. The same humans who had been mocked for their junkyard machines had just won the greatest war game in the galaxy. The laughter was gone. In its place was fear. If humans could win with broken machines here, what would they do in a real war? Back in the exhibition hall, the human soldiers stood tall. They said nothing, but their eyes gleamed with quiet pride. Their machines, scarred and dented, rested behind them like tired beasts. To the galaxy, they looked terrifying now. To humans, they were family. In every corner of space, whispers began. Do not underestimate Earth. Their machines may be broken, but they never stop fighting. And for the first time, the galaxy wondered if the true danger was not the machines themselves, but the humans who built them. After the war games, the galaxy could not stop talking about Earth. What was supposed to be a simple joke had turned into a nightmare. Billions of beings had watched the junkyard army defeat fleets that were worth more than entire planets. The images replayed again and again, rusty tanks smashing warships, patched jets outmaneuvering shining fighters, drones that looked broken tearing apart machines twice their size. The more people saw it, the less they laughed. Instead, they began to whisper. Why did those broken machines still work? Why were they so dangerous? What secret did humans hide? In the high halls of alien councils, debates raged. Some leaders claimed it was a trick, that the humans had somehow cheated in the war games. Perhaps their weapons were modified, one ambassador argued. Perhaps they used illegal systems hidden under the scrap. Others shook their heads. They had watched closely. No secret technology had been used. The humans had fought with exactly what they showed, machines full of dents, rust, and scars. One elder general, his voice heavy with experience, finally spoke. It is not their machines. It is their history. The council turned to him in confusion. He explained slowly. Every dent, every scar is a memory. Those machines were not made to be beautiful. They were made to survive. They were tested in fire, rebuilt in ashes, and sent back into battle. They do not break the way ours do because they have already broken before, and they learned how to keep moving. The room fell silent at his words. Some scoffed, but others felt a chill. If he was right, then humans had built a philosophy into their machines, one that no other empire understood. Across space, scholars began studying human history. What they found shocked them. While many empires had enjoyed long ages of peace and order, humans had lived in constant struggle. Wars, revolutions, disasters, invasions. Earth's history was filled with endless conflict. Each time, their machines were destroyed, and each time, they were repaired, patched, and used again. To humans, a broken machine was not a failure. It was a survivor. In one alien academy, a professor displayed a picture of a human tank. Its armor was bent and burned, its paint nearly gone, but it was still rolling on the battlefield. "Do you see?" she asked her students. "To us, this looks like junk. But to humans, this looks like trust. They believe in their machines because they know their machines have already lived through hell. They believe in scars." The idea spread like fire. The secret of rust, the media called it. Whole networks ran shows about it. Military commanders ordered reports on every human design. Even merchants wanted to know how Earth turned weakness into strength. Yet for all their studies, no alien fully understood. They were too used to perfection, too used to throwing away what was broken. Meanwhile, humans said little. They let the galaxies speculate. In private, they repaired their machines again, replacing parts, adding patches, and smiling quietly at the fear spreading through the stars. For them, it was simple. Perfection was fragile. Survival was strength. But fear has a way of growing faster than truth. Stories began to spread among alien soldiers. They said human machines had spirits inside them, that the rust was alive, that the dents were eyes watching enemies. Others claimed humans built their machines with blood and memory, making them impossible to kill. Whether these tales were real or not did not matter. Fear made them real in the minds of those who believed. One night, deep in the capital of a great empire, a young soldier dreamed of battle. In the dream, he heard the rattle of a human tank engine. He turned, expecting to see a polished war machine. Instead, he saw a monster of rust, a tank crawling forward with broken wheels and glowing eyes. He woke sweating, his heart pounding.
He was not alone.
Across the galaxy, nightmares spread. The sound of squeaking metal became a sound of terror. Alien leaders tried to calm their people. "Do not fear," they said. "Humans are small. Their machines are crude. We are still the rulers of the stars." But their words sounded hollow. Everyone had seen the war games. Everyone had seen the broken machines win. One counselor, desperate, asked a simple question: what happens when humans build new machines? The room fell into silence. If broken machines could defeat the galaxy's best, what could perfect human machines do? None wanted to imagine it. Yet the truth was stranger still. Humans did not stop using broken machines because they chose not to. They stopped because they believed perfection was an illusion. They trusted what had survived, not what looked beautiful. To them, rust was not weakness, it was proof of life. And so the galaxy trembled. They had mocked Earth once, but now they whispered warnings. They called it the secret of rust, the hidden power that made humans impossible to crush. And somewhere, in the darkness of space, human soldiers smiled, their hands resting on the scarred steel of their machines, as if listening to old friends breathing beside them. Because to humans, machines did not die when they broke. They only learned how to fight harder. The galaxy could not ignore Earth any longer. After the war games and the spread of the so-called secret of rust, alien commanders argued in their councils, merchants whispered in their markets, and soldiers feared the sound of human machines. Some leaders wanted to study Earth quietly, to learn and copy their methods. But others felt insulted. To them, it was unacceptable that a young, small world had embarrassed ancient empires in front of billions. Pride burned hotter than reason. At last, one empire decided to act. The Zoran Dominion, a race of conquerors with fleets stretching across 100 systems, declared they would teach humans their true place. Their leaders promised a quick, easy victory. They announced to the galaxy that they would stage a live demonstration. A single Dominion fleet would destroy a human colony using the newest, most perfect machines ever built. They invited cameras, reporters, and spectators. It would be a show, a punishment, and a warning. When news spread, the galaxy turned its eyes again toward Earth. Billions tuned in, waiting to see if the humans' luck would end. Some hoped to watch the so-called junkyard army fall at last. Others waited in secret hope that Earth might surprise them again. Either way, no one wanted to miss what came next. The target was a small human colony on the edge of known space. It was not heavily armed. It had farms, mines, and a few old machines guarding its borders. The Dominion expected no real resistance. Their fleet arrived in shining formation, sleek battleships, silver cruisers, and robots fresh from factories, each polished to perfection. They looked unstoppable. The humans did not run. Instead, they rolled out their machines, rusty tanks with patched armor, aircraft with coughing engines, drones with dented frames. They looked pitiful compared to the Dominion's flawless army. The alien spectators watching through screens laughed at the sight. "Now the rust will burn," they said. The Dominion struck first. Beams of white light cut across the colony fields, blasting apart soil and stone. Robots marched forward, their footsteps shaking the ground. The humans stayed quiet, waiting. Their machines rumbled into position. Tanks moved like tired beasts, their engines growling low. Jets lifted off, smoke trailing behind them. Drones circled, squeaking as if their metal bones were ready to snap. The first clash came quickly. A Dominion walker, tall and shining, aimed its cannon at a human tank. The crowd expected the tank to explode in one hit. But the tank lurched sideways at the last second, the beam scorching only dirt. Then the tank fired back. Its shell hit the walker's leg, bending it. The perfect machine stumbled. Another shell followed, and the giant fell to the ground, broken. The audience gasped. More battles broke out. Human jets dived into Dominion formations, wobbling like broken birds, but every dive ended with a kill. Dominion robots surrounded a human drone, certain of victory. The drone sparked, smoking, and then self-destructed, blasting the perfect machines into pieces. Each time the Dominion attacked, the humans answered with strange tactics, tricks born from centuries of survival. In the control hall of the Dominion fleet, commanders shouted in disbelief. "Impossible! Their machines are old. They should not last even minutes." But the screens showed the truth. Dominion forces were falling one by one to an enemy that looked weaker in every way. The battle stretched on. Dust and smoke filled the colony skies. The polished Dominion army grew smaller with every hour. At last, when the sun set over the broken fields, silence fell. The Dominion fleet was gone. Wreckage floated in orbit. Their machines lay scattered in ruins. On the ground, the human colony still stood. Their tanks, scarred and dented, rolled slowly back to their bases. Their jets landed, coughing but alive. Their drones, half-broken, still circled the skies. The galaxy watched in shock. The Dominion, proud and powerful, had suffered defeat at the hands of humans they once mocked. Billions stared at the broadcasts, unable to believe what they had seen. Commentators tried to explain. Some said it was strategy. Some said it was luck. But whispers spread faster than facts. The rust defeated perfection. People murmured. The broken machines cannot be destroyed. For the Dominion, the shame was unbearable. Their leaders tried to hide the truth, but it was too late. Images of shattered silver robots beside rusty human tanks spread across every world. Soldiers of other empires began to fear even more. If the mighty Dominion could fall, who was safe? Back on Earth, the humans did not celebrate loudly. They repaired their machines quietly, replacing panels, welding patches, cleaning off the dust of battle. They treated victory not as glory, but as survival.
To them, nothing had changed.
To the galaxy, everything had. From that day, the galaxy spoke differently of humans. They were no longer a joke. They were a warning. The first defeat had been given to a mighty empire by scarred tanks and rusted planes. And in the silence after the battle, a single truth became clear to all. Humans did not need perfect machines to win. They only needed machines that refused to die. The defeat of the Zoran Dominion spread through the galaxy like wildfire. For centuries, the Dominion had crushed its rivals with fleets of flawless war machines. They were feared, respected, and hated. But now, they had been humbled by Earth, a young world that had entered the stars only recently. What made the humiliation worse was not just the loss, but the way it happened. Dominion soldiers had been defeated by rusty tanks, patched aircraft, and drones built from spare parts. Every holoscreen replayed the images. Dominion ships, broken in pieces. Human tanks, scarred but still rolling. Aircraft landing with smoke pouring from their engines, yet victorious. Crowds on distant worlds watched the replays in silence. Then came the whispers, soft at first, but spreading faster than fire. The rust is power. The broken machines cannot be stopped. Earth's scrap army is stronger than perfection. Fear began to reshape the galaxy. Merchants spoke of it in markets. Soldiers told stories in barracks. Children on alien worlds played pretend games, pretending to drive rusty tanks that could crush shiny warships. Myths grew around the humans. Some said they built their machines with souls inside. Others claimed they could speak to their tanks like living beasts. A few believed the rust itself was a kind of magic. None of it was true, but fear does not need truth to live. In secret meetings, alien generals argued about what to do. Some demanded Earth be crushed before its power grew. Others warned that another war might end in shame, just as the Dominion had discovered. One admiral slammed his fist on the table and shouted, "If their scrap can destroy us, what will happen if they build something new? What if they create perfect machines?" The room fell silent at the thought. But humans had no such plans. On Earth and its colonies, they continued as before. They repaired their old machines, patched their dents, and sent them back to guard their worlds. They were not chasing beauty or perfection. They were chasing survival. To humans, a machine was not defined by how it looked, it was defined by how many times it had refused to die. And that was the secret the galaxy could not understand. Alien societies valued polish, symmetry, perfection. If something cracked, it was thrown away. If something failed, it was replaced. To them, imperfection was shame. To humans, imperfection was proof of strength. Every scar told a story. Every dent was a lesson. A machine that had survived 100 battles was trusted more than one fresh from the factory. It was this philosophy that spread fear the fastest. Alien spies tried to steal human blueprints, hoping to uncover hidden secrets. But when they examined the designs, they were baffled. The schematics looked messy, even clumsy. Systems were made to break apart and be replaced easily. Armor was layered with patches, not seamless plates. Wires were left exposed so they could be repaired quickly. "This is not design," one alien engineer complained. "This is madness." They build their machines to be broken. But that was the genius. Humans did not build to avoid breaking, they built to survive breaking. And that made their machines unstoppable. Soon, smaller empires began to copy Earth. Junkyards became treasure troves. Old machines were dragged back into service, patched, and armed again. But no matter how hard they tried, they could not copy the human spirit. They did not understand how to fight with scars. They only understood how to polish them away. Meanwhile, human colonies grew bolder. Their machines, once mocked, were now requested. Colonies on the edge of hostile space asked for scrap armies to protect them. Convoys requested rusty tanks to guard their routes. Even pirates began to whisper in fear when they saw smoke-trailing human jets on their scanners. The galaxy, once laughing at Earth, now asked for Earth's help. Still, not everyone accepted this new power. Proud empires plotted in the dark. They could not live with the shame of fearing machines that looked like junk. Plans were made, alliances formed. Some swore that the next time they faced Earth, they would destroy them completely. But deep in their hearts, fear remained. They remembered the Dominion's defeat. They remembered the tanks rolling through fire, the jets flying through smoke, the drones that fought until nothing was left. Back on Earth, human soldiers sat with their machines like old friends. They polished the steel not to make it shine, but to keep it alive. They patched holes, tightened bolts, and whispered softly, as if the machines could hear. To outsiders, it looked strange. To humans, it was natural. A machine that survived with you was not just a tool, it was family. And so the legend of the scrap army grew. No one laughed anymore. Where once the galaxy mocked Earth's weakness, now it trembled at Earth's strength. Rust had become a weapon. Dents had become warnings. Broken machines had become the most feared power in the stars. The rise of scrap power had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy was no longer the same after Earth's victory. At first, aliens had laughed at the humans' machines. Now, they lowered their voices whenever the word scrap army was spoken. The fear had spread beyond generals and rulers. It had reached the ordinary people. Merchants refused to trade near human space. Miners abandoned planets close to Earth's colonies. Even pirates, once bold and cruel, now turned their ships around when scanners showed rusty human fighters in the distance. Fear was everywhere, and it was growing stronger each day. In the outer systems, alien soldiers whispered in their barracks. They told stories in the dark, as if speaking too loudly would summon the humans themselves. One story told of a tank that kept moving after its crew was gone, rolling on as if alive. Another told of a fighter plane that was hit by plasma fire, lost both wings, and still managed to crash directly into an enemy base. None of these stories were proven, but the soldiers believed them. The humans had become myths, and myths were more dangerous than truth. One soldier of the Vexary Empire confessed to his commander, "Sir, if they send their scrap machines against us, we cannot win." His commander slapped him and shouted, "Fool! They are weak primitives." But later that night, the same commander sat alone, staring at battle reports of the Dominion's defeat. He clenched his fists, but his heart shook with the same fear. Spies brought new intelligence. They reported that humans were training harder, expanding their fleets, and repairing even more of their old machines. "They do not build new ones," the report said. "They only bring the old back to life." To alien rulers, this was madness. Why not build new fleets with shining perfection? But to humans, the answer was simple. Why abandon something that still fought? The fear became worse after smaller battles broke out. In one skirmish, a pirate fleet of 20 sleek ships attacked a human convoy. The pirates had speed, numbers, and weapons. The humans had only 3 escorts, old corvettes patched with metal plates and armed with mismatched guns. Everyone thought the convoy would be destroyed. But when the battle ended, it was the pirates who were gone. Human ships came limping back, smoking, dented, and scarred, but still alive. The galaxy watched the holos of those escorts returning home, battered yet unbroken. It was not just a victory. It was a message. Humans did not need to be perfect to win. They only needed to survive, and survival itself was their greatest weapon. Soon, alien children began to play a new kind of game. Instead of pretending to be heroes in shining starships, they pretended to be humans in rusty tanks. They marched with sticks as if carrying patched rifles, shouting, "We never break." Alien parents watched with unease, whispering, "The humans are shaping our young with fear." In the council halls of powerful empires, rulers grew restless. Some demanded Earth be crushed before its legends spread too far. But others warned that even if Earth was destroyed, the fear would remain. The myth had already taken root in the galaxy's mind. To fight humans now was not just to face an enemy, it was to face the unstoppable story of their scrap machines. Meanwhile, on Earth, humans did not celebrate as much as the galaxy believed. They were tired, scarred, and cautious. Their soldiers repaired their machines slowly, with care. They knew the galaxy was watching, waiting, and planning. Yet the humans did not fear. They had lived with fear all their lives: wars, disasters, hunger, storms.
Fear was familiar to them.
And because they lived with it, they learned how to fight even when afraid. A strange thing began to happen. Some alien soldiers deserted their armies and sought to join Earth. They brought their own broken ships, hoping to fight beside the humans. "Teach us," they begged. "Teach us how to fight without fear. Teach us how to survive with scars." Human commanders were cautious. They did not share their deepest lessons easily. But still, they welcomed these deserters. Slowly, Earth's legend grew stronger, not just through fear, but through loyalty. Yet not all aliens bowed to fear. In the dark chambers of the old empires, new weapons were being built. Secret projects promised machines that could not be broken, ships that could not be scarred. We will end the myth of the humans, their rulers swore. We will shatter their scrap into dust. But deep in their hearts, even these rulers knew the truth. No matter how perfect their machines looked, they were still afraid. They feared the sound of engines rattling through smoke. They feared the sight of rusty tanks rolling forward through fire. They feared the humans, who turned weakness into strength and made scars into victory. And so the galaxy trembled, waiting for the next war. Everyone asked the same question: would the humans stop here, or would they rise higher? The fear had already spread too far to be stopped. The legend of Earth's broken machines was now unshakable.